Can you relate to being a child and literally not having an adult to turn to? Like, do you remember being a kid and going, I could be surrounded by grown-ups. I could be surrounded by people in their 30s and 40s and 50s. But they're literally like evil 6-year-olds. They're less mature than I am. And I would have been 8 or 9, going like, where's the grown-ups, where's the adults that are going to uphold standards and fairness and decency? Can you guys relate to this kind of stuff? I think you can. I think a lot of people out there can relate to this. Because I remember like going to meet aunts and uncles. I grew up around, the people I grew up around even. I'm related to a lot of them, but like aunts, cousins, uncles. And like the nerves of going in there to meet them. Because literally, it could be any reason. They could be mad at you because one of them realised that you make friends very easily and that they don't. And now the next time you're going to see them, you're in for it. They'll have met before you went down to see them, just to come up with a reason to chastise. See, this is the thing. I think a lot of people can relate to this, where the so-called adults in your life would become obsessed with having something to pull you up on. They would become obsessed with having something to give out to you for, to chastise you for, to yell at you for, to put you down about. Like, literally they would be incensed, trying to come up with a reason, always like, do I get to give out to him? Do I get to give out to him? Do I get to yell at that person? Do I get to... That's what all of them were like in my life. They always were desperately trying to find a reason to have something to say to Jay. And people in general have been like this, people, because, but we'll get to that. But the adults in particular, when I was a kid, like, they would orchestrate moments. They would get together and they would like come up with a reason to give out to you, right? Because it wasn't always just me. It was me most of the time, but it wasn't always just me. But they would come up with a reason, and like they never really could, because they're so emotionally stupid and two-dimensional. They couldn't really come up with a correct character assessment, could they? So instead what they'd do is they'd project. And they'd go, okay, when I was 8, I wasn't able to say I'm sorry to anyone. I could never apologise, still can't. And one of them go, I was like that too, yeah, but still am. Like, they don't change, they don't mature, they don't grow up. The likes of you and me, like, an apology, if you owe it, is just a given. You almost automatically do it. Sometimes you have to correct yourself and go, hang on, mean it when you say it, rather than just going, oh, sorry, and keeping it moving. But they would never have gotten to that level of maturity. They're pissants. They're all the way back where they were. So they would project that. They would project that, that unwillingness to apologize when they're in the wrong. They would project that onto you and go, oh, he can't, I can't remember him ever saying I'm sorry. He can't say he's sorry. And they would convince themselves of this total lie. I've seen them do it to others. It'd be something totally delusional that's no reflection of the child they're dealing with. But it's a reason. They're trying to create a reason to have something to get onto you about, to have something to zero in on you about, to have a reason to bully you. So they would orchestrate something. They would, maybe leave something in a place where you'd bump into it and knock it over, and then claim it was really expensive, and, they'd put on a big show that whoever owns the house would be crying. Or they'd say that you stomped on somebody's toe who just had surgery and you weren't minding what you were doing, you hurt someone. And it would be or they'd say, the last time you were here you made a joke and Mary was very upset. And now you have to go in there and you're to apologise to me. And it would be, all this would be totally made up. And that's the point. That's what I've lived my entire life around. And that's what I'm going to keep recording about now, because I know for a fact that this shames them. I know for a fact that when we talk about their behaviour, this childlike silly little behavior that they do, this bullying, evil behavior they do, it shames them. They get so embarrassed. Their skin gets hot. They feel like their skin is crawling. They hate having a spotlight truly shone on who they are. They like the illusion of it. But what they would literally orchestrate these moments. They would orchestrate a reason to make you say you're sorry, even if you don't never had a problem with it. But you know, when you're being manipulated, so you're reluctant, you're going, I didn't stand on anyone's foot. And then, look, see, he won't say it. And now they're screaming and they're getting incensed and you're being, they're getting closer. And, if you stood your ground, if you said, no, you're lying, you're making it, I know I'm being lied to and I didn't step on anyone's foot, or she laughed at that joke last time I said it, now she changed. If you stood your ground in any way, you would be threatened with violence. Literally, that's what used to happen to me. My father would, hey, like literally screaming right here. And I'd, like a kid, basically I'd be forced to lie and admit to something I didn't do. Just so that they got to feel great about, oh, we forced him to do something that we wouldn't be able to do. I don't know what the reason, or maybe it's just an ego trip of, oh, we forced a child to say he's sorry because we all ganged up on him. Whatever it does. Well, look, I actually think the main reason, number one, is to lower your vibration. I think that's number one. Because you'll notice that if you think back to when adults behaved this way in such a weird orchestrated attack on a child, and so delusional to convince themselves of something and to be pleased with bullying the child into indulging their delusion. Like, the fact that they would get something out of that. This is what these little exposés is what they hate. But it would be to lower your frequency, to put you down, because if they can't be happy, you don't get to be happy. They'd be jealous of your happiness. They'd be jealous of everything. So it's to put you down. It's to knock you out of that vibrating frequency that keeps you in a good mood, that keeps you happy, healthy, joyous, and thriving. They're too envious of that and they can't have it. Reason two, I kind of already said, but they need to make you accept their false reality. They need to make you the problem, because if you're not the problem, then those insecurities they're projecting, then they have to actually deal with that like adults, like the rest of us do. And they weren't able for that. They're still not able for that. They never will be able for that. And finally, reason number three, a lot of these so-called people, a lot of them can't actually feel compassion. They can't actually feel sorry for somebody, or empathy for somebody, I should say. So when they can manipulate you into doing that, that's very rare, because they can't get that from each other, but they can get it from you. And of course, it is an ego stroke for them, as I said, because they're making you do something. They're forcing you to do something that you don't want to do, accept their false reality and apologize even though you haven't done anything wrong, and you're just a scapegoat, a punching bag for their emotional baggage. And this is the thing, guys. This is sorry, I'm actually trying to stay on track here, and of course everything keeps cutting out when I go to record. We can't keep. There's no point in blaming it on boomers. Oh, that's just boomers. That's what they're like. No, that's not good enough. Not good enough. Their grandparents knew more than that. Their grandparents were better people than them. More intelligent, more well-rounded. Their parents too. So what excuse do these scumbags have? It wasn't different times. We're not that old. I'm 30. We're not that old. Those memories of abuse and unfairness and irrational behaviour from adults, it wasn't normal then. It's not normal now. And if you've stayed with me this long, I think you relate to this stuff. I think you relate to a bunch of adults that were like snivelling evil children trying to have something to do with you constantly. Like they hated you, but at the same time wanted you to think they were cool. They wanted to yell at you and scream at you all the time, but at the same time, they wanted you to be smiley and happy. And these are the kind of people that would say to a girl working behind McDonald's, "Why can't you smile? Why can't you smile? Why do you need that young girl to smile at you so you can pretend you're some kind of heartthrob?" This is what they were like, and this is what they're still like. If you're reflecting upon this stuff, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is you're right. The bad news is once you start to piece all this stuff together, there's no going back. Because once your memories start to come back, once you really start to wake up to this matrix, this evil matrix that you are in, it is very much Morpheus with the blue pill or red pill. You know what I mean? It is very much that. You can go back to your regular life and continue to be a slave, a tool for them to abuse and take out their crap on, and fill your head with their nonsense thoughts and insecurities to see if you can figure it out for them because they're too lesser to do it. You can go back to all that, or you can wake up to what you are. You can wake up fully to the matrix and realize that you are one of the chosen. You are Neo.